Okay, so all of a sudden I've had a thought. I want to go paddleboarding. Now, if I'm going to jump in the car, go off, spend time, effort to get somewhere, pump up my board because I've got an ice up, and then go out on the water, for what it's worth, I might as well take 10 minutes just to think of where the best place to go is. So first of all, I'm going to go instantly to BBC Weather and see what the wind is actually doing outside. So let's have a look. Right outside, hardly any wind at all. Okay, so I live in King Stainton in South Devon. So let's have a quick look around and see what else I can find. So not a lot of wind going on today, but as you can see, as we go through the day, it's slowly going to increase. Okay, so then where would I go next? Right, I'm going to go straight to the Timoth webcam, see what it's like out on the sea. Boom, it's perfect out on the sea. Okay, so that's great. So I could go Timoth. Okay, now what else am I going to do? I'm going to look on Magic Seaweed next. So I want to see where the tides are, because I might want to go back beach Timoth, I might want to go front beach Timoth. So let's have a look at Timoth and just have a look. So the overview at the moment is, as we can see here, if I go forecast, at the moment it's flat. Okay, it's flat everywhere. The wind, as you can see, is picking up. The wind here, it says, is coming down normally from the north, then coming up from the south. Okay, and as you can see, we can look through the week and we can see what's happening as the week goes on. So it's basically pretty flat throughout the week, which is great for paddleboarding, of course. You can then, what you can also then do is click on a day. So if I click on a day there, I can then look down here, look, and I've got tides at the bottom. Now the tide, look, one thing you have to be mindful of is when is it high tide. So the tide is now, because it's the tide is starting to drop now at the moment, but you can see there is a 2.6, what's that, 2.67 meter drop, so over it's over 2.5 meters that drop. So you can see from that green wave that this is, it's kind of on its way to a spring tide. Spring tide being where the tide comes in more and goes out more, and neap tide being where it doesn't move very much. So this is looks to me like it's kind of on a spring tide. So you're going to get some pretty high, powerful tides coming in, which won't affect me at Timoth because I know the beach, but it would be if I was in an estuary. Okay, so that's another thought. So I've had a quick look on there. Now let's just consider. I might think, well, I might want to go somewhere else. So let's have another look. Bantham. So where's Bantham? I'll show you where these places are on the map. So on here, I'm going to have cameras down here. So if I go on the main camera on Magic Seaweed, it didn't look like it was running then, the camera, but ordinarily the cameras run. This location has got 3 cameras which can show me what the conditions are like. Typical. At the moment those cameras look like they're down, but basically what you can do is you can look down here, and on the side that you can see where there's different cameras. So for example, Lime Ridge is secondly working, and actually there you go. So you can see that Lime, it is pretty flat. Now it is useful to look at other locations as well as the one you're going to, because it gives you an overarching feel of what's happening out there. Okay, so although it looked dead flat at Timoth, you can see over at Lime, you can see that wind is coming in slightly from the north, very slightly. It's coming in. It's headed. It looks to me like it's coming in from the north by the direction of the waves there. Right, other webcams. So search through the net, and you can also get other webcams on there as well. So if I have a quick look and see what's it like over at Broadsands. So if I wanted to go over the bay, let's have a look at Broadsands. What's it like over there? Flat as a dab. Perfect. Glisteningly flat, as you can see there. Perfect. Now there's also one. I've got another one at Torquay. This one's working. No, that one's gone down. Basically, what you can basically do here is, there's another one at Brixton Breakwater here. This one working. There, look, gentle. So you can go around and virtually move around the bay in this instance, or the locality. There's also ones for I've got Dawlish ones. I've got I don't know if I can see them down here. I've got one at Dawlish Coast here. So again, moving around the locality. There's ones for the back beach at Timoth. You just got to find these things. So again, there, look, flat and beautiful. There, look, you can see there, look, how you get areas of the sea which are almost flatter than others. So this is looking back towards Timoth. Okay. So next up is, what else do I want to do just to check out where I might be? Well, another thing you can do is our good old friend Google Maps. So zoom out. So if I was going to go in at Timoth, Google Maps might give you an indication of water depth, and it might give an indication, for example, if I was going in the estuary, in and around here, there's some mussel beds. So if you do go Teen Estuary, make sure you avoid those. So you can only just see them there, but they're there, and on low tide, you could run into them. You don't want to be doing that. So you can use the maps here to identify any underwater hazards. So for example, if I went to Corbin Head in Torquay, you can just about see possibly that under the water here, look, you can see there's rocks under the water at Corbin Head. Yeah, over by as you work your way across here over to the Institute Beach, see this, that's not rocks, but there's rocks under the water in this little locality. So you can use these to identify where the rocks might be. Another thing that is really apparent, let's just say the wind was picked up a bit more, and I was thinking, well, I know what I'll do, I'll go to Torquay where I can get a bit of shelter possibly, but when you look at a map from above, you can't really tell, is there a lot of shelter there? So that's where our old friend Google Earth comes into play. So when you go onto Google Earth, I can now, for argument's sake, zoom in on that same location where I was at Torquay, but now I can go to 3D mode. And right away on 3D mode, I can now get a sense of there being cliffs. You couldn't see this at all on Google Earth, but again, I can use this to see if there's any hazards under the water potentially. Bear in mind, you've got to check it out more thoroughly than this. But also I can see that down this left hand side there's rocks, there's cliffs, and they might offer me shelter on another day when the wind's coming from the left. So if I've got a you can use Google Earth to identify the lie of the land, to identify further if there's potential shelter, right? Another app that I use quite a bit is called Windy. Right, now Windy is another great little app here. Now this is an app which you can use, and you can see here that just about, it doesn't show up very much today because not a lot of wind, but you can see the direction that the overarching wind is travelling in, and it will tell you then, you can click on to certain locations and it will then tell you which way the wind is going, speed of the wind, all that sort of stuff. So I just clicked on painting there, and you can see that. Now bear in mind though, this doesn't take into account gusts and the way the wind will flow. So for example, if you're in this area here by Babbacombe, there are gullies, there are little valleys coming down through the towards the sea here, and they can almost fan the wind out. So the wind could go in one direction or another direction depending on how it's coming down these gullies. So this is just something you can also be mindful of, but it's really you might get shelter close to here, because again, if we go back to Google Earth, we can see here that, and you won't, like I say, you won't get this on Google Maps, but you can see there's cliffs along there. See those cliffs? So what you can do is you can gain shelter from the cliffs here if the wind's coming out. But as you can see, look, there's a gully here coming down, there's a valley coming down through here, look. Yeah, coming down from Watcombe and coming down through there. And sometimes the wind can almost fan out from there. Okay, so that's something else to be mindful of. Another thing that you can also do is I use a weather forecast app here, which tells me wind gusts and stuff like that, but also, I'm not sure if they've changed the actual interface on here. They have changed the interface on here, but I've got an app somewhere, not a very good example of this, where it tells you about, it gives you precise maps of when the downpours are coming, because when a downpour comes, that can affect wind direction. You'll find that I'm not an expert when it comes to weather, but you might find that if there's a downpour ahead of you, you might find you're going into the wind, and as soon as you've gone through the downpour, the wind stops. Or you might find there's no wind, as soon as you've gone through the downpour, the wind picks up. So just be mindful that downpours can also affect wind direction. So there you go, folks. That's my trip around the bay. Of course, the other thing that maps can allow you to do, which is quite interesting and can be really useful, is consider parking. So let's just say, for argument's sake, the other day I went over to Broad Sands, so I can zoom in here on Broad Sands, And I know the area anyway, but you can see there's a nice big car park there. So I would say, first of all, go on BBC Weather. Then personally, I will go to Magic Seaweed. Then I jump all around the different webcams which I set up on my home screen. Then I might look at windy to see which direction the wind's blowing in. Bear in mind that's only an overarching wind, and the wind will swirl and go in different directions when you come over land. Next up, I'll go to Google Maps. Next up, I will go to Google Earth if I want to find out the height of the land, which can affect the wind. So a lot of this is to do with wind. The other thing, like I said, going back to Google Maps, is that might give you an indicator of where there might be underwater hazards. So that's something you really need to be mindful of. It can also give you an indication of the how busy an area is. Let me just show you one last thing and I'll let you go. So for example, let's just say we wanted to go to Newton Ferrers or somewhere like that. So if I go right down here to Plymouth, and here we go, Mothercombe, here we go. So we're in this sort of area here. So Newton Ferrers, what's it? I'm going to go paddleboarding in Newton Ferrers, I say. But instantly, as you come into this area here, you can see there, for example, it's quite a bit of stuff going on there. Are you happy with that? You don't want to get somewhere and then think, blimmin' heck, there's a lot of boats here. There's deep water. I can see there's deep water. Look, I can see under the water looks to be hazards there, potentially. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, what's it like there? I've not paddleboarded. I've been there years ago, but I haven't paddleboarded there. What's it like there? Is it a good place to go? Is there any parking? Let's zoom in a little bit. Is there any car parking? Don't know. So all these things, you can say, well, hang on, I might go there. I'm going to go right there. Yeah, so I'm going to go in here. Let's have a look. What's it like there? Well, there's the road. Oh, okay. Not going to get parked there, am I? Okay, so, oh, it looks like it's a little way down there. Didn't realise that. Oh, that's no good. So this is what you can do. Use the tools at your disposal on your phone to inform you before you go out on your paddleboard. Just a few of Steve Dogg's thoughts.